Ujagdish Chelani, Deputy Commissioner West Garo Hills, Hakasngining Kong, Kalai Pui Tarik Unaitung, Ulongba, Kajing Huri Hura Hamini Secretariat Hatura, Haba Myntri Rangbah Udang Yakran Bergidekot ke Aceh, Kamsham dan kanu Jingthmu Bari Chalendet, Bar Pynmynsaw Yakalong Renyeng, Jong Myntri Rangbah. UDC Ulongba ki Borsenshar ka West Garo Hills District kila penlong arteli ki jing tokit halor kani ka jingja banlap ya ka daw tenrai bakaladon ka jing kawang mau bat ki jing thangkali ha ka miet arpusaw tar unaitung balapan priang ki khubor bam shongnya bat bam don nongrem da ki social media. UDC Ulongba kila penlong arteli ki jing lang jong ki Rangbah nong yalam niam jaga tura bat ki officer jaga district hakasngi ningkong. UDC ula pensyai baka jingkeren jeng Dr. LR Bishnoi DGP la penram da kiseng bhalang na kilom Garo namar kala pentho bria ya kejinglong tibriu tiblei jeng kipat nongsong snong kanikathan. UDC ula ong baki dan langut kisatar pen priang khubor lam ler ki bakwa ban klang kading jeng kipat ba kiba menta kidang ri. Kini langut kilong uraki sangma chukame sangma bar usal grek em sangma. UDC ula hukum kini ki langut banwan pendam kloy lan chekibor pulit.
Today we basically had the meeting. It was a debriefing meeting of all the officials. We had the meeting with all the magistrates and the police. We also had a peace committee meeting with all the religious leaders. It was a meeting basically towards understanding what happened that day, what went wrong, what were the misses and the hits that we had, what are we able to learn from this, and that in future whenever we are encountered with any of this kind of an incident, learning from each aspect of this incident, breaking it down individually, we are able to at least improve in whatever performances had or whatever happened from that day onwards. The peace committee meeting was oriented to requesting or urging our religious leaders to organize a special congregation towards channelizing the energy of our youth into more productive activities. We wanted to have collaboration with our religious leaders to organize some kind of skill development programs in the local congregations that can happen, talk about gender issues, talk about teenage pregnancies, talk about issues that matter to our youth today. Also, we wanted to have a discussion with them as to how they perceive the movement or the kind of forward step that the youth are taking today, and the way that we can collaborate together in channelizing their energy in much better. So today we basically discussed that we broke it down into different aspects. We wanted to learn about what happened in this event. We broke it from the starting of the permission that was granted for the sit-in demonstration to the post effect of that entire event. What happened, what kind of media attention it got, what kind of steps were taking during the protest that was happening, what happened with the mob that was doing this kind of violence. And those were the aspects that we discussed. We came to that realization itself that it was a small set of instigators who came out with a premeditated thought of creating ruckus at the arena, who came out with having the aspect of disrupting a peaceful meeting that was going on with our Honorable CM and the NGOs. But at this point of time, I think we do not have concrete evidence that this was a pre-planned conspiracy to hurt the CM. However, the inquiry into that aspect has already been issued, and with this end of the inquiry, we'll be able to make a certain statement that such a thing has happened. At the initial part, it was looking like with the evidences that we had, but now re-looking at all the evidences that were provided, having interrogation with the other aspects, other suspected people, it just turns out it was a small set of people who had that intention to disrupt the meeting. It was not the larger gathering. The larger gathering who, in fact, some of the people who did pelt the stones, they never came out with that premeditated thought to actually hurl stones at anybody or hurt anybody. They came out with an aspect of an emotional motive of the request or demand for winter capital, and they wanted to do or collaborate towards the movement. So that is what happened, and in the wave of the emotions, they participated in an event that can be said as a act of violence or a mob violence, but they came out with that emotion, not with a premeditated thought. That's a misinformation at this point of time. We had organized the meeting in the Circuit House with Honorable CM at 1:30 p.m. With a reporting time for the NGOs at 1 p.m. on the same day for all NGO groups and public. So given that the Honorable CM was visiting the district, CM sir wanted to meet the public in first and have a discussion with them, listen to all the matters that are there, including some of the NGO groups who did not want to be part of the demonstration that the public was doing but had the similar demand. So sir wanted to give that time to the public first, and it was our internal discussion itself, along with our state police and Honorable CM Sir itself, that after this a meeting will be done at the mini secretariat. It had the approval with the Honorable CM Sir and the state police team. It was not made public, it was not informed to anybody because nobody else had the need to know about it. The protesting groups which were the motive of the meeting, the protesting groups and the administration knew about it along with our Honorable CM Sir. So it was not a sudden move, it was well understood that such a meeting will be done. I understand your point here. Our discussion with the DSP also came out with that thought that there was no intel provided in terms of any kind of mob that can go violent in our case. We had gathered the information that there will be people from other parts of the district also who will be participating in the event, but at no point there was an indication that the mob will go violent. If it was a very small set of people who had orchestrated at their level at what they want to do. But it was not a general mob participation in this case. I wouldn't go on to say that it was an end failure without the completion of the inquiry at this point of time. What happened was unfortunate, but I believe it was sporadic at the moment. It wasn't aimed at causing this event premeditatively, but as I've said earlier in different forums as well, those who did it will be punished at the earliest. And we have already arrested 47 number of people in this regard, and an inquiry is already underway. They will be soon charge sheeted. The charge sheeted account will show us what kind of charges are leveled against them, and a higher level inquiry by both the Commissioner's office and the IG office has been put in to understand what kind of events had happened or came out, and they will give us a better idea about whether this entire thing was premeditated and was this an intel failure or not. At this point of time, I think it is too early to actually push the blame as an intel failure on this entire incident. I believe it was sporadic in nature. I believe that this entirely depends on the inquiry officer on duty, and though on Friday itself this inquiry has been instituted, so I believe within a period of 30 to 60 days this inquiry will take up all the aspects into notion, the charge sheeted files that have been done, and they should be able to come out with a recommendation from their side. But it is not for me to actually comment on this, as I'm not the part of the inquiry officer here. So I believe once the inquiry officer comes out, I think that question can be put up to him. Sorry. The first inquiry, which has already been instituted, will be headed by the Inspector General of Police along with some other officials from the police side. The other inquiry, which probably will happen, will be from the Commissioner Secretary side. But that notification is still to be out. I wouldn't say go on again, as I said earlier, I wouldn't go on to say it was unprepared. Again, the time of experience that Tura has had with violence has been very few in the past so many years. And nobody anticipated that such a crowd will become unruly and cause such a violence over here. Honorable CM Sir was inside, was discussing with the leaders of the movement who were doing the hunger strike. And we all assume that the leaders are the people who are representing the crowd, and that when the leaders will be satisfied with the discussion that has happened, they will go on and inform the crowd about this and end the hunger strike together along with the administration. So we believe that at no point of time did we anticipate such a kind of incident that happened immediately at that point. Again, as I said, that the movement was hijacked by a few elements which had political motives, and those few elements had the motive of disrupting the entire proceedings that were happening. They didn't want such an event to go peacefully or successfully, and this kind of hijacked the movement a little and played on the emotions of the public. At that point of time, the best course possible for the police was to strengthen the security that was available to us and to ensure that no kind of incitement to violence happens both from the public side or from the police side. And I believe that the police exercised excessive restraint and did very beautifully in order to not harm any of the citizens at that point of time. When the crowd hurled the first stone or when the first throwing of chairs has happened, then police had sprung into action and was able to dissipate the crowd within a period of less than 2 hours. At that point of time, if you would have noticed, even from that moment of time, except that road, the entire town was peaceful. Except that evening, every other day, the town was working peacefully, even on that road. So there has been no disruption of law and order or peace and tranquility in the nature. It was only for a period of couple of hours. Though understandably, the optics of the entire incident is much, much larger. It was an Honorable CM Sir who was taking the meeting, and it is Honorable CM of a state who was inside in that building when this incident had happened. But our security forces were capable enough to curb any violence that has happened over there and limit the effect of injuries to a minimum. The 6 personnel at that moment of time who were hurt, having minor injuries, got the first aid treatment and were released the same night or same evening itself. So I believe the security forces have done a tremendously good job, and the public who were involved in that, the prime instigators, as we had said earlier as well, that they will definitely get the due share of the punishment through the courts of law under the law that is prescribed under our penal codes. So at this point of time, I believe that we have done a good job, especially the police has done a good job in post effect of that situation. And there are so many learnings that have come out of this incident, and we'll be able to take it forward, do much better in the times to come. And I believe, booking of the perpetrators is the first aspect to this first learning period. Still the prime instigators, some of them who have the name, I like to go on record and say that some of the instigators which we have identified is Raki Sangma and Chukhame Sangma. There is one Facebook profile of Salgir Kem Sangma, if I'm not wrong. Correct me if I'm wrong in your profile, in your news. But these are the 3 instigators that we would like to book for instigation of such a violence. There are other people as well, but these have been identified as the prime instigators, and they are absconding from the law right now. If they are able to see this news, I will recommend that they surrender themselves in the nearest police station and be booked as per law, that for the chaos and the violence that they have created by manipulating the emotions of the public, by manipulating the due cause that the public had for winter capital. We have, I believe, police will be the best set of force to inform on that. But I believe police has circulated this information across all thanas in West Garo Hills at least, and must have informed it to other thanas as well and rest of the Garo Hills areas. And we have had breakthroughs in our investigations in the police department, and I'm sure that they are very much on the line in capturing these absconding people and apprehending them to finally make an arrest on them. I'll again say it is for their own safety and security that they should surrender. For the act of incidents that they have done is an act of terror against the security forces. But luckily, no people who were bystanders or no public has been affected in this incidents and have not been hurt. We are happy for that. And I believe that they will be booked appropriately for the act of incidents that they have done. In my personal view, the came out and that tagging was done for his own verification purposes, for his own understanding purposes, and it was not oriented towards making it public or making it out towards in the public. In any case, such an tagging should not be done. We have also reprimanded the requisite officer by informing him of the same, that such an incident should not have happened, and such an incident should not have been public for a confidential report as such. Though I will go on to say this very surely, that booking of charges on any perpetrator will not be as per the party affiliations, no matter who they are. We have had people who are, if there have been media reports about the political parties, but we have had people who had and have accepted political linkages with TMC, BJP and NPP as well, and all of them will be booked for charges against them as per the actions that they have taken. At no point of time will police or will the charging officer or the inspecting officer will look at the political affiliations before booking these charges. That this is as it is, this is our official position, and that information that has gone out is unfortunate, and the recording of the FIR in that manner is also unfortunate, but no ill will was associated with that information that was there. It was just in the heat of the moment, because it was an incident that was of different proportions. In that short period of time, it had to be pitched in, and to avoid any confusion, such a report was made, and that report was uploaded as an FIR. Meeting, I have very clearly told them that all confidential information that have been leaked, whoever is found out to be true for that, and we have also instructed the police to give us the leaked information, how to investigate into it, how this information got leaked. The confidential informations are part of the office and should not be divulged without the requisite permissions. If they are leaked, they are in violation of requisite laws and the duty codes that are assigned to them. And if found out who were responsible for it, due disciplinary actions are expected to be taken against them. This I have said it in black and white today in our review meeting itself. This was a debriefing meeting where this specific point was pointed out, both for the IO who is inspecting into the incident and for the officer who has filed the FIR. First, the filing of FIR has also been informed that such a thing should not have happened, and if it happened, should not have been divulged out, and whoever is responsible should be booked immediately after investigation. In my personal study so far, what I have seen that evening and so far, I believe there was no such attempt. In my view, CM, as I would like to go on record and say this specifically, that at no point of time was there any danger to CM sir, any bodily harm, any kind of injury that can happen to him. He was safe and secure. We had fortified the area completely. We had it under control. Everything was well and good, and even the mob was dissipated within less than a couple of hours. We had given them time to even blow the steam off, and our security forces have rightly assumed charge in that situation, took the due action, and dissipated that crowd in due course of time. I think that information that DGP sir was referring to came in time because the initial implications of those people who were seen at the first instance, people who were making the instigating remarks, seemed like a pre-planned event. Also, some of the sparrows which were used to throw stones, hurl stones, were also found from the incident. That is why an initial preliminary report that was found out was with that thought. But at this, after a week or so, at this point of time, this is not officially so, but from my study so far, we can say that this was a very small set of people who had come premeditated, but not the larger gathering. The larger gathering of more than 200 or 300 people did not come with that thought. Even if we see the size of the stones that were used, this does not seem like a premeditated stone pelting event. It was by a few set of people who wanted to instigate the mob and start the event, which they did, and kind of caused us harm into the security personnel who were available there, and caused that incident. But at this point of time, I can go on to say that we do not have evidences who can keep it out in black and white that this was a premeditated, until and unless an inquiry into that incident can settle it up with the evidences that are available with us. Preliminary report suggested that, but now the inquiry can go on to satisfy that assumption is correct or not. And for that, the filing of charge sheet and the filing of the inquiry by the inquiry officers can be awaited to make that assumption. One another thing that I will go on to establish, that Tura, except for that 2 hours and except for that Dakopgre road, was safe to travel for everybody. The businesses were safe, the vehicles were safe, except for administrative units, everybody else was safe. Meghalaya as a state and Garo Hills as a region has been generally peaceful. There have been this was one off incident in a period of years that has happened in such a manner, and this was also sporadic in nature. It was not pre-planned in a manner to actually cause terror to the public. It was not an event that happens regularly, and if you would have noticed, the very next morning of the event, the town is normal. The town is usual except for that road. In that evening, that road itself was normal in the morning. Everything was usual. So such an incident cannot be associated as a regular occurrence in Meghalaya, and understandably, because the name of Honorable CM sir was associated with it, that the optics of the event is of that large nature. But I believe at that moment of time or any other moment was the harm or any injury expected into anybody else except for the forces that were in front of the mob that were handling it. Everybody else was inside and safe.